For more on all of these Middle Eastern developments, let's bring in former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. He is also a Fox News contributor. Mr. Secretary, it's good to have you on. Thank you for coming on with us today.
You bet, John. Great to be with you.
We've got the Strait of Hormuz still very much bottled up. The United States Navy is sending those 2 destroyers through to, I guess, sort of clear a way. Is that a dangerous prospect for them, or do you think they're going to be able to get the job done?
John, I'm highly confident they'll be able to get the job done. That doesn't mean it's not dangerous. There's not risk. The Iranian regime has shown that they're willing to kill not only 40,000 of their own, but come after Americans as well. And so there's always risk. But the United States has the military capacity to defeat the Iranian military in detail and to reopen the strait. And while we're having negotiations today, President Trump is continuing to do the necessary. He has, in the immortal words of Margaret Thatcher, he is not about to go wobbly. I can't imagine that he will. And we're going to do the task, which is to secure freedom of navigation through that waterway, reopen the strait, and then deliver for the region and for the United States of America a much safer world.
To reacquaint our viewers with your early career, you're a West Point graduate. You had a long Army career before you got into politics. How would you assess what the United States has achieved vis-a-vis Iran?
John, very different from what you're hearing in most of the international media, who have been enormously defeatist. We have taken down immense amount of Iran's capacity. First of all, its leadership. Imagine the top 50 leaders of any military in the world or any political system in the world just vanishing. That's a much weaker regime, a much weaker government. Second, we don't know the extent of the damage fully. We've seen the DoD reporting, but they have fewer missiles, fewer drones, no Navy, no capacity to stop American aircraft, right? Thousands and thousands of sorties. They've managed to luckily shoot down 1 American aircraft. We have taken away their ability to export terror a great deal. It's not done. They still have some of that capability, but this is the time to finish the job. And whether that gets finished in Islamabad today by the Iranian regime committing to surrender, as President Trump talked about at the beginning of the war, or we have to go at this again, it's hard to know which way this will fall. But I'm very confident we'll achieve our military and strategic objectives in the region.
The president has expressed dissatisfaction with some NATO countries who have not been providing help in reopening the Strait of Hormuz, for instance. England and France are notable exceptions. Congressman Rick Crawford spoke about that. Listen.
The news that the British and the French are contributing to the effort is they're very competent, and particularly the British, and so that will actually expedite this operation considerably. But again, this is a big lift. The type of mines that you're seeing there are acoustic, magnetic, pressure sensitive. So there's different kinds, and so they require. It's not quick. It's not fast moving, and unless you have large-scale mine sweepers, we're going to rely heavily on those individual EOD techs.
Some observers, I think you can say that many of them are detractors of the president, are saying that Iran has sort of won the war, or at least seen its interests advanced by the fact that it is able to shut down, has been able to shut down the Strait of Hormuz. How do you assess that?
John, that's just absurd. Iran, under President Obama's leadership and President Biden's leadership, the weakness that we showed, the billions of dollars that we gave them, they had the full capacity to shut down that strait for decades now. President Trump has finally now just ripped the Band-Aid off and made clear we're no longer going to suffer under Iranian threats. We're not going to let them continue to build their nuclear program and have air defense systems. We're going to change fundamentally the capacity of the regime to inflict harm. And to your point about our allies, we've found some great allies. Our Emirati allies, our Middle Eastern friends. We've figured out that there are some who just won't be with us at the time that matters most. The Spanish in particular have behaved in a way that is just deeply disconnected from their own security, let alone their commitment to a partnership with the United States of America. We've watched, too, the other side figure this out. We was reporting today that the Chinese are shipping more missile systems in to Iran. We should interdict those ships. We've sort of gone shirts and skins on this thing, John. We know who our friends and partners are, and we know who they aren't. The United States is going to demonstrate that this will be an Iranian defeat, and I'm very confident President Trump's going to stay at this until we achieve that.
When you were Secretary of State under the President Trump's first administration, you had a sort of a list of requirements for Iran to re-enter the League of, the League of Civilized Nations. You wanted a full accounting of their nuclear program, abandon nuclear pursuits and enrichment, provide access to all the nuclear sites, proliferation of ballistic missiles had to stop, release all U.S. detainees. That's a big one. And the list goes on. How close would you say we are to achieving most or many of those goals with this latest action?
Yes, John, we had a list of 12 demands, but if you summarize them, they were just behave like a normal nation. That was our real ask. I think we're closer to achieving many of those objectives than we were even at the end of the president's first term. And we began this process with the Abraham Accords, building out a coalition that understood that the central problem in the region wasn't the conflict between Israel and Palestine, but rather was the Iranian regime. We then took out one of their senior leaders, General Soleimani, and now we've made even more progress towards that. As long as President Trump doesn't reward the Iranian behavior with money by allowing them to charge a toll or releasing funds, if we do those things, they'll just go rebuild, John, and that is after all we've done and the American lives that have been lost. If we were to permit that, that would be an enormous mistake. I can't imagine President Trump's going to head down that road, and in the end, we'll get much closer to the very demands that we made of Iran in the first term, and we'll achieve an enormous strategic victory for the United States of America in the end.
Mr. Secretary, I could talk to you for the rest of the hour, but we have to say goodbye. Appreciate your time today. Thank you. Former Secretary of State.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mike Pompeo.
Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Kane podcast for full episodes right now.